Okay, my signal is working. What's poppin', everybody? I've been trying to get this Wi-Fi signal, so I'm coming to you live and direct from my bedroom. So I know my Wi-Fi has been acting real skanky all day. So how's everybody's Monday going? You guys know I like to give Facebook a little minute before I actually start going into the message for the day for New Method Monday. Hi guys, hit me with likes if you like what I'm going to start sharing in a minute, which is really dope and important, and it's about what if you're the problem. A lot of us are the problem and we don't even know it. And I want to get this done. And all you guys know, you have that one show that's a guilty pleasure. I have one show that's a guilty pleasure, and it's Teen Mom. I don't know why. And it starts in like 28 minutes. So that's exactly why I'm like, I hope I can get this done in the next 28 minutes. So I'm going to give Facebook another minute to let people know I'm live, and it says you're live. We're building an audience for you. And I don't like to repeat myself, and I do want to give people the most in the live. I want to give you guys the best message that I possibly can. I really only do these when I feel like God wants me to share something. I don't do them on my own whim. I pray over each one, and I'm very conscious of that. I like to consider myself a servant or a messenger, just sharing a message to build, to inspire, to encourage. All right. So let's get into it. If anybody has questions, they can comment below. So, I want to talk to you guys today. If you're not familiar with me and who I am and what I do, I know this is Facebook, but I know some of us are like, when did I meet you? And what I do. So my name is Maria. I'm Melendez. I'm founder and CEO of Embrace Her Legacy. And what's Embrace Her Legacy? It's a personal development, faith building, and dream birthing school for fabulous and faith-filled millennial women and girls. And I offer different programs, different classes, different workshops, and now recently an online learning center that really surrounds around those three kind of like core purposes or core values of personal development, faith, and birthing your dreams. Really is essentially living in your life assignment. And one thing I pride myself on with working with women and girls is I'm not here just to help you. A lot of people know that I consider myself a midwife to dreams, and I do know that part of my assignment is to help others birth the dreams that are inside of them. But along with that, I do also call myself like your goals girlfriend. I'm the girl that you will call with. I'm the friend that you call with. You want to achieve your goals. But along with that, I'm not just about you achieving some goals and you achieving your dreams and your destiny. I'm very cognizant. That's why personal development is in character development and faith building and healing wounded souls is really an epicenter of what I do. And the reason why I do it is because I'm not just about you achieving some goals and you still being a broken, wounded soul. I'm really more about you becoming the woman that you were created to be, so then you can honor whatever it is that God has called you to do. A lot of us are looking to do things. A lot of us are looking to achieve things to check off womanhood. I'm a wife, I'm a mom now, or I have my own apartment, or I pay my own bills, and now I bought a house, and now I'm debt free, now I'm a woman. But you can achieve all those accomplishments and still be a wounded, hurt little girl, a wounded soul. You can still be carrying these wounds, and when you're carrying those wounds and you don't go through a process of healing, a process of maturing, a process of understanding the most important relationship that you have, the relationship with God, and then your relationship with yourself, and then you can have a better relationship with others, you'll just be a CEO. You'll just be kind of like, I don't like to say a wounded CEO, but you'll just be another person who is kind of just going with the motions. You may think, oh yeah, I've accomplished all these things, but I'm still a broken, hot mess inside. I'm still insecure. I don't know how to walk by faith. All those things, the parts of your character that you need to essentially fulfill your destiny. So I'm very, very big on character development and faith building, and I've really started to incorporate my faith in a lot of my everything. that I do now, because I'm like, it's for Jesus and it represents God, and mostly everything that I do. But I want to talk to you real quick about what if you are the problem. And don't feel bad because I realized I was the problem, and I am going to share some of that with you tonight. So I know that there is probably something that you've been believing for. I know that there's something that you've been working towards, something that you've been praying about, something that you've been hoping will change. If not, kudos to you. But not only have you probably been hoping that you'll see this breakthrough, you'll see this new season, but you've probably been waiting for what seems to be like an eternity for it. So you've paid your dues, you've done the work, you've cried, you've witnessed everybody else around you getting their moment to shine, and you're still waiting. You're like, hold on, God, like, I know I've been doing everything right? You probably been obedient. You probably been doing everything you're supposed to be doing. And you know that you're like, all right, I know I've been working towards this, or I've been believing for this, or I've been wanting this to change for a minute, and still nothing. As a matter of fact, you're like, probably at this point, you're like, yo, is this thing ever really going to happen, right? And I know that now we're going towards March starts, what's today, the 27th? So March is Wednesday. The first day of March is Wednesday. So we are now going into the final quarter of we're going into the final month. We're kind of going into like the final hoorah of the first quarter of the year. So a lot of us maybe have started 2017 and I did too. Oh, it's going to be my year. This year is this year is that, this year is that. A lot of us may have started the year, and I'm pretty sure, and I want you guys to interact, let me know if this is you, where you started the year like, oh, this is my year. 2017 is the year of release. All this stuff. You're like, okay, this is the year where I'm going to see God's promises work on my behalf. This is the year where, whatever it is that you're believing for, I'm going to buy a house, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have a baby, I'm going to, get out of debt, I'm going to get this new job, I'm going to start this new business. You're like, all right, this is the year that I'm going to see whatever it is I'm believing for happening, right? And you're like, this is the year that God is going to deliver on his promises. But maybe after the high, you get what I mean, of the new year has dissipated, or maybe as a result of current and recent events, certain things that have happened to you, you're telling yourself like, well, maybe this ain't gonna happen. Maybe this just isn't my time, maybe this is just not for me. Maybe God was bugging, right? What's happening is you're looking at everything that's happening around you, and as a result, you're totally discouraged. And I get it. I totally get it. Trust me when I say I get it. Things probably in your life aren't in the natural aren't getting any better. So there's no reason to believe. There's no reason in your mind to think, is this really going to happen? As a matter of fact, things may not be happening, or things may not be seeing any change, but certain things in your life may have gone from bad to worse, right? So in the natural, you have every right to feel disappointed, to feel discouraged because of what you've been through. You've probably walked through a fire. Hello. You've probably walked through a fire. I'm key fire word. I've walked through a fire. It just doesn't look like it, right? Thank God that we don't look like what we've been through. Can I get a like? Can I get a heart for that? Thank you very much. But whatever it is, you've been through a fire. You've been through a lot. And in the natural, like I said, it doesn't look like you have any reason to continue forward. But I want to give you a different perspective. What if what's holding back your breakthrough is you and not necessarily those circumstances, those recent events that have come? What if the recent events in your life that have been allowed in your life to test you to see if you're really ready to walk into your land of fulfilled promises, miracles, and breakthroughs? Now, I'm going to tell y'all about this. If you would have told me, I would never, a week ago, I wouldn't be able to give this message. Actually, what happened a few days ago while at dinner with one of my dearest friends, one of my sissies in Christ, I realized this, or better yet, she made me realize this, that I was the one holding back the very thing I was believing God for. I recognize that me, Mrs. Faith, Mrs. Personal Development, that's why I'm being transparent with you. I recognize that myself, I had allowed recent events to rattle my faith. And not only had I allowed recent events to rattle my faith, I had been on a consistent path of letting, every time my faith would get built up, every time I'd feel like, I can go and take over the world, every time I know it's going to happen and this is mine, something would happen to rattle my faith, and I would give into it with my emotions, feeling discouraged. And that was my problem until she made me realize. She was like, Maria, you can't be so easily rattled in your faith. And I'm like, oh, you right? Why you in my prayer closet? You get what I mean? And as a result, because I was so easily rattled in my faith, because I allowed these recent events, and I kind of had been on going around that same mountain, and I couldn't pass that test of faith, so I would have to saddle up and go back around the mountain, right? I would have to learn how to kind of like fight this battle a little differently and get to the other side, because on the other side of me passing this test of faith would be every dream in my heart desired, right? And I'm going to tell you this. I want you to know this. Get this clear. Every breakthrough and every miracle that you are going to achieve or you're going to see God do on your behalf is going to be surrounded by warfare. Every breakthrough. If you want to go into your promised land, I'm telling you right now, is that it won't be handed to you. It's not going to be, I'm not going to say like it'll never be that, because God is sovereign and God is great and God is amazing. But what I've learned is that God works in a pattern according to a principle. Now, when I talk about the promised land, if you're not familiar, I refer to the exodus of the Hebrews. They were slaves in Egypt. Their exodus out of Egypt, they were supposed to enter their promised land, the land of Canaan that was promised to Abraham, right? So it was promised to Abraham. So Moses was assigned the task to let my people go. He was like, this is my version. This is the Maria version, the Maria Melendez version, right? So his task was to set the Hebrews free from the Egyptians. Now, instead of going straight into the promised land, which was an 11-day journey, they ended up in the wilderness for 40 years. Because although they were out of Egypt, Egypt was still in them. They did not have the faith nor the capacity to withstand the promised land, right? Now, even when the next generation of Hebrews are going to take the promised land, it wasn't like the promised land was surrounded by enemies. They had to be all types of ites, the Amorites, the Hittites, all these types of enemies. They had to go and fight them. They had to go and defeat them. God wasn't just gonna, God did a slew of miracles for them. He was working on their behalf, from the walls of Jericho, all of that. But they had to pass the test of faith. They had to be the one to say, when God said, march around these walls for 7 days straight, they had to have the capacity to believe that they could beat them giants, that they could beat them enemies in that promised land. So this is why I'm here to tell you, any promised land, anything that God has promised you, anything that you're believing for, baby girl, saddle up and get ready. Buck up and get ready to fight, because it's going to be surrounded by warfare. If you are believing for a baby, you get what I mean? And maybe the doctors is telling you something, welcome to warfare. Your husband is acting a hot mess. Satan is after your husband. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother video post. You get what I mean? You're believing to build a business, build an organization, and your bank account says one thing and you want to do something else, surrounded by warfare, right? Last week, I actually shared, not in a Facebook Live. I didn't do a Facebook Live last week. I do blog posts. You can go to embraceherlegacy.com, and I shared in a blog post that we all have an enemy. Okay? I'm tired. Oh, gosh. Can I keep it 100 with y'all? I am tired of him getting away with so many things. And we're like, oh, if you don't believe in that negative stuff, then nothing will happen to you. That is the biggest lie ever known to man. And one thing that the enemy has done so well is convince people that he doesn't exist. How can you fight a battle that you don't even know that you're in? Oh my gosh. See, so our enemy is strategic. He's tactful. He is organized, right? So I shared in this post last week that you have an organized, an invisible, organized army that is set out against you. But we don't know this. So we think that certain things that happen in our lives are just, bad things happen to good people. No, there is an enemy out here live and well causing hell and high water in our families and our communities and our health and our school system and everywhere. You are up against powers, principalities, rulers, and all sorts of things. But these invisible agents they know you. So thank you, Boo, right? Yep. You don't, and if you think about it, and I said this in my blog post last week, if you look at your family, I'm pretty sure there's something common that runs in your family. It could be alcoholism, it could be broken marriages, it could be broken relationships, it could be, mental illnesses, it could be heart illnesses, cancer. What do you think that is? That is not a coincidence. That's something familiar. It's a familiar thing. It's a generational thing that's been passed down to generation to generation. And we chuck it up to, that just run in my family, not knowing that has been an organized assault against you and your family. So we have this enemy that is out to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And he is organized. And you cannot fight him, and you cannot win against him on your own. A lot of people think that we can fight, like this dude is negative energy. Let me tell you something. Satan, evil spirits, I'm going to keep it 100 here. God, and I don't know if they're ready for this, Father, but he's not scared of no sage. He ain't scared of no crystals, none of that, okay? None of that is going to fight that thing off. When you going into that type of thing, I said these are invisible agents. Your sage ain't going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. There's only one name that he will bow down to, and that's the name of Jesus Christ. You better call on that name. So what this enemy is after is after your confidence, because you were created in the image of God. So he can't fight God because he's already been defeated on the cross. So he's going to come after you because you remind him of him. So he's after your confidence in God, he's after your peace, and he's after your joy. Why? Because if you don't have confidence in God, you don't have faith. If you don't have peace, you can't make good decisions. And he just gets a thrill out of seeing you a hot mess, not in joy, fearful, anxious, frustrated, and worried. That is what he does. So you have to understand that the minute, and this is what I needed to, which I knew better, but I was just in my feelings, when you get into your position of faith, expect it. When you get into pow, pow, pow with your faith, you pow, pow, pow. You start assaulting, nah, and then you're not going to get me. And you start taking authority. You start praying and you start saying, no, this is going to happen. This is mine. God said this. Expect warfare to happen. Expect something to happen. It happened to me last week. The moment I was and here come. And I was after a while, just this is the warfare that you're in. But sometimes I want to let you know that certain events are allowed in your lives to see if you're ready for the breakthrough. So if you can't fight the enemy, pow, pow, pow. If you can kind of dust your shoulders off and look at the giants and look at the recent events and look what happens to you and look that thing in the face and say, yeah, I know what that says. I know what the doctor's report said. I know what my bank account said. I know what he said. I know what she said. I know what I saw on Facebook. I know all of that. But I know God, and I know he gave me a promise. That is when you are now pow, pow, powing to whatever it is that's coming to rattle your faith, all right? Because God doesn't want you to be so easily rattled by anything that seems to oppose whatever it is that you're believing for. You can't be so easily shaken. Trust me, I'm preaching to myself. You can't be so easily shaken. And if you are, I'm telling you right now, you are the one that's holding back your breakthrough. So I'm going to give you a perfect example. Let's say that you're believing for a promotion at work, right? You're believing for a promotion, right? But one of your superiors comes and tells you this: it's highly unlikely that you'll get the coveted position. Maybe you don't have the education. Maybe, somebody else got their master's, their MBA from Princeton or something, or Harvard, and you decide to believe the superiors instead of pressing in on your faith and believing God. What sense does it make to ask God for something if you don't believe that He can help and that He can do it? What is the sense of praying? What is the sense of asking God for help if you do not believe that He will do whatever it is that you're asking Him to do? So you believe the superiors, you believe, the dude comes in who has the MBA from, Harvard, and you're like, all right, I'm not going to get the position. Well, because you've decided to believe them instead of believing God and having bulldog faith on your new role, you just failed your test. And around the mountain you go. And around the mountain you go. We go from faith to faith. Therefore, the reason why we have to pass these little tests of faith first is because the tests of faith are going to get bigger and more challenging as you grow. There's levels of faith. There's some people, there's certain people I admire in the realm of faith. Some people like Kenneth Copeland, Bill Winston. These dudes, I'm like, wow. How, Gloria Copeland, I see how they operate, and I look at their bulldog faith, and I'm like, okay, I know I'm not there yet. But I'm going to get there. And that's because they went from faith to faith to faith to faith. You have to learn to believe God for $5 before you can believe God for $10,000. You have to learn to believe God to get you, through this thing before you can believe God to get you through that thing. And that's why these tests of faith come. And that's why you keep going around the same mountain. Right? Because you don't pass the baby tests of faith, right? All right. So let's say you made a decision to quit your job, right? Let's say you make this position to quit. You made this decision to quit your job to pursue your entrepreneurial endeavors, or maybe you want to pursue life, whatever it is. You're pursuing life as an actor, as a musician, as an entrepreneur. You're pursuing life. You're like, or your passion full time. You're going to start a nonprofit, whatever it is. And you're like, I'm gonna quit my full time job. Now, a few days before you put in your letter of resignation, you get offered a new job, maybe at the same company, at another company, making more money than you've ever made in your life. Even though your heart's desire, and you know in your heart that that's not what you're supposed to do, and you know that you're supposed to go and go full forth on that business, that idea, with that new career, whatever, you decide to take that job because of financial security. Saddle up, baby girl, because you're getting ready to go around the same mountain. That job offer wasn't a coincidence. It was a test to see if you were really ready to manifest the dream of becoming the actor, the owner, the musician, whatever it is, the entrepreneur, or, the CEO of that multi-million-dollar brand. Will you choose courage or will you choose comfort? You can't always have both, right? So there are actually two types of tests that are going to come that we must pass in order to see the greatest dreams, prayers, miracles, everything fulfilled. The first test is the test I've talked about already, is the test of your faith. Now, these are the nuances that are going to happen that seemingly oppose whatever it is that you're believing for. The key is to not allow these nuances to distract, discourage, or rattle you, or like I said, you'll go around the same mountain. You have to learn to put the fear, the doubt, the anxiety, the enemy under your your feet. Okay, you have to I'm a mess. So I'm not a mess. I'm actually fabulous. I don't want to say I'm a mess because I don't like speaking certain words on myself. But I know that I'm crazy. I will literally be stomping my feet, and I'll be like, "No, you are under my feet. You are not taking this," right? So you have to put the fear, the doubt, the anxiety under your feet. And you have to look at the circumstances in the face. You have to look whatever rattles you in the face and not even be bothered by it. And I know that that's not easy, okay? I'm not saying not to be human. I'm not saying not to have emotions, but you don't let them control you. You don't let them take over you, and you don't let it steal your faith, right? If you got to go cry, go cry. I'm the queen of crying. I'm always the queen of saying, listen, I need a good cry right now. If you need to cry it out, whatever you need to do it, right? But you have to get to the point where you look at things in the face and you say, you know what? I'm totally confident that I'm going to see God do what he said he's going to do. So I know this. I know that the doctor said this. I know that my bank account says this. I know that this person over here is saying this. I know that, such and such is saying this. Whatever. But you know what, God? I believe you. I believe you, Father. Thank you, Father, for this. Thank you for whatever it is that you're believing for. That's the first type of test. It's a test of faith. Now, this second test is a little bit more... It's a little inconspicuous, right? This is the test to see if you're ready and if you really want whatever it is that you're asking for, all right? Now, these tests usually come disguised as opportunities that want to serve you, but only traps to hold you back. I'm going to say that again because this is really important. The second type of test is the test to see if you're ready and if you really want whatever it is that you're believing for. These tests usually come disguised as opportunities that want to serve you, but are only traps to hold you back. So my example with taking a job offer, right? If you choose a job over your destiny, then you're not ready to become that entrepreneur, that actor, that author, that speaker, whatever it is that you want to do, right? Because if you can't trust God to provide for your financial needs when maybe it's just you, then you won't be able to trust God later when you have to, let's say, run a multi-million-dollar business. You have to pay 25, maybe 100 employees. You're not ready yet, okay? Let me give you ladies another example of this type of test. Let's say, and this one is probably a little bit more in our millennial group, affecting a lot of you guys. Let's say that you want to get married and you're tired of kissing frogs. You're like, I'm ready to meet Prince Charming. Well, you start meeting guys who they have potential, right? But in your heart, they're not the one, But out of your loneliness, out of your, whatever it is, you decide to entertain these guys anyway. You decide to make room for these guys in your life. You decide to, date, whatever. Settle up because you've just failed the test. Instead of making room for your husband and focusing on becoming a wife, you've decided to go after temporary pleasures. You are not ready, okay? So this is for my ladies out here. If you are like, I want a husband, I want to get married, blah, 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 right? Somebody shared this with me the other day, and it's a script. When a husband finds a wife, he finds a good thing. The thing about it is when these dudes come, they need to find a wife, not a girlfriend. You need to make sure that if that's what you want, he finds a wife. Start declaring marital glory over yourself and start preparing to become a wife. Start being wife-minded. Do you get what I mean? So in that example, because you praying for one thing, you like, you know what, God, I really want to meet my husband. And you start meeting dudes, and and I feel like we all know, you speak to your spirit will tell you. Sometimes, you just get blindsided. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when it's like, I don't know. I don't think this guy is it. But you keep entertaining, and you're not making room for your husband. You're like, and it's like you're not ready. You're not ready. You're holding back, if you would let that go, focus on becoming a wife, your husband could be around the corner. Do you get what I mean when I'm saying these second tests that come? They come to test if whatever it is that you really want is whatever it is that you're asking for. It could be a job test. It could be the relationship test. So many different type of tests that come. All right. Thank you. So I'm going to give you guys a major key alert. Shout out to DJ Khaled. I'm going to give you guys the major key alert. Major key, right? Whatever it is that you're believing for, whatever breakthrough it is that you want, I don't know what it is. Everybody got something. Everybody got something that if I ask you, what's one thing you want, if you could change one thing in the 24 hours, what would it be? In the next 24 hours, what's the one thing? What's the top 3 things that you want to change? This is where you need to pay attention to this major key alert. You need to start seeing yourself as whatever it is that you are believing for. All right. So if you're in your prayer closet, and if you want to be a mom, right? And let's say you're going through some fertility issues, and this is just random. I know that and especially in the 30+ crowd, you get the question a lot. This is so random, but I think somebody needs to hear it. Stop asking people when they're going to have kids. Because a lot of women out here, and it's not something that's commonly talked about, a lot of women out here are struggling and have fertility issues. And every time you want to get in somebody else's uterus and you asking them, when you had kids, it is a reminder. It's like a burn to their chest. Every time you open your mouth and keep pressuring them and asking them when they're having kids, you don't know, that couple might be trying, and you might know they might just got like the fourth doctor done told them that, you know what, there's a 10% chance that you're going to be able to carry this baby full term. And every time you go yap your mouth and be like, oh, we gonna have babies, you are constantly reminding that woman of the pain that she is struggling. And I know that it's kind of like just conversation that we have, but I just want to send a little message out there to people. Please stop asking people when they're gonna have kids. That's one, is none of your business. Second, you don't know if that couple is trying. And every time you go and you ask, you just bring up the pain that they're suffering. People are suffering behind closed doors. So unless somebody's willingly sharing that with you and talking to you about that, use some wisdom, use some discernment, and say, you know what? That ain't my business, B. Let's talk about this Nicki Minaj feud. I know this is off topic, but child, I'm not even I'm a hip hop girl. Anybody knows I used to work in the music business. I used to work at a record label. All these rappers, artists, blah, 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 blah. That was the resurrection of hip hop. I was like, this girl, I wanted to cry. So I know Nicki Minaj wanted to cry. But anyway, I'm just saying, talk about pop culture. Talk about something else. So here's the major key. I want you to start seeing yourself as whatever it is that you are believing for. So like I said, if you, right, boo? Right? I know. Yo, Wendy Williams was like, remember when Nicki Minaj got till midnight to reply? I don't know. What can you say? What can you say, Nicki? And I love it. And let me tell you something. This is random. Also, too. I don't know. I'm ranting. Oh, I got to get off because my show started. But let me tell you something. It is okay for there to be not beef, but rivalry between women in hip hop. This is hip hop. This is not top 40. This is not Taylor Swift and Selena Gomez. This is hip hop. Hip hop is built on battle rapping. That's what we do. So just let that be out there that it's okay. And I'm loving it. I'm saying with my popcorn this is good. This is good. Random. So, gosh, the major key. So start seeing yourself as whatever it is that you're believing for. If you want to be a mom, become a wife, then start seeing yourself as one. If you want to be wealthy, then start seeing yourself as wealthy. Start seeing the extra zeros in your bank account. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, then start seeing yourself selling, maybe the lotion, the shea butter, the t-shirts, the coaching business, the makeup, the makeup line, whatever it is that you decide that you want to sell. See yourself. If you want to be a speaker, speak. Thank you. I feel like God sent me here. I be telling my God, just send me to somebody. Just send me to somebody. So start seeing yourself as doing that. If you want to be secure, if you're struggling in your security, then start seeing secure and a whole woman. If there's anything, maybe you're struggling and you want to shed off some extra pounds, start seeing yourself like that. This is one of my vision boards behind here. If you got to get a vision board popping, and if you got to start pasting images together and set the vision in front of you, or whatever it is that you're believing for, and stop defining yourself by the circumstances, stop allowing the issues to rattle you. You get what I mean? And start defining yourself as seeing yourself, not defining yourself, because I don't want your identity to be in like these things, and that's a whole nother story. But start seeing yourself as that thing that you are believing for, and I promise you that it's only going to be a matter of time where you will see the breakthrough, you will see the miracle. I don't have time of how many testimonies. I'll share one about like Joel Osteen's mother, when she was diagnosed with terminal liver cancer and they gave her weeks, I think maybe 6 months to live. Homegirl literally got her Bible. She started standing, like she would stand. She's a little lady. She started standing on her Bible and she was like, no, I am healed by the stripes of Jesus. Mind you, she had no reason to believe it. She had no reason to keep thinking that she would be healed. Not at all. But she stood on the promises of God. And you know what she did? She started posting pictures of her when she was healthy. And instead of identifying with the sickness, with the cancer, with the things that the doctor was telling her, she said, you know what? That's who I am. I'm healed. And she put that picture in front of her healed. And she said, no way. She went back to the doctors. The doctors was like, miracle. No more cancer. What do you think that was? That wasn't no coincidence. That's faith. That is bulldog faith. And she is still alive, well and kicking, 80 plus. This is like 30 something years ago. And imagine how many of us, I don't know if she wouldn't have had that bulldog faith, if she would still be here, if she would have made it through that test. So like I said, these tests of faith, these tests to see if these are things that you really want, are going to come, all right? But it's up to you to decide if you're going to saddle up one more time. I'm tired of saddling up. I'm tired of going around the same mountain. Or are you going to finally pass this test and say to yourself, at the end of this year, you still have time. Like I said, we're only going into the end of Q1. You still have time to say, you know what, 2017 was the best year of my life. But it's up to you to pass these tests of faith. It's up to you to apply everything that you know to do. My pastor called it, this is the year of application. It's time to apply everything that you know to do, everything that you know you're supposed to do, the word, everything, speaking the word, praying, everything. Now this is the test to see if you're going to apply what you learn and if you're going to go into your promised land. That's my time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you see, please go to my Facebook, my website, embraceherlegacy.com. You can enroll in one of my free email courses at embraceherlegacy.com/free course, embraceherlegacy.com/free course. And I actually have a 3-day email course to help you overcome fear and procrastination. So I would highly suggest that you go sign up for that. And if you have any questions, you can comment below and I'll come back later and answer some questions. But I hope this is a blessing to you. Thank you so much for tuning in to my craziness, and know that God loves you and you got this. Good night.